Good morning. This is Ron Brown. It is the 27th, I believe, of November. A couple of days after Thanksgiving and one day after a pretty major market meltdown due to a new coronavirus scare. And we'll see what comes of this. I want to take a look at the market, but before I do that, I want you to if you're an Insider Club member, I want you to go into the warehouse views, click on my name and click delete on the warehouse views. And I want you to do the same thing on the charting views. Get rid of them and then reinstall or install the add-on because I have some new things in there that I'll show you here in a minute. And I'm going to be doing a lot of rearranging. I've got so much material in my files. I'm going to be paring down and reorganizing. And by the way, there will be a new add-on link next week. Since we're going into December, I've been using the September add-on for a long time, and it's time to change it now that my webinar series is over. Okay, let me show you where I am. I am in the designer. I'm in my market analysis user groups. I'm in the Major Markets Plus folder, which includes ETFs. I'm going to click through to the warehouse view. In the warehouse views, I'm under top-down process for market analysis. I'm in number 1. If I go to number 2, it includes the ETFs, but I'm going to stick to number 1 right now. And let's take a look at this. You can see that it was a brutal day on the percentage price change down. Bitcoin got hit too. We just have GBTC in here, but it gives us, it's a proxy for Bitcoin. And the utilities were down the least. The NASDAQ 100 was only down 2.1%. Some of these got hit a lot worse. The S&P 600 was down 3.7%. But what I want to do is concentrate on the NASDAQ composite. Now the chart I'm currently using, and I'm going to be doing some rearranging like I said, it's under these VPA layout charts. It's chart number 1 right now. And I just wanted to start with it to point out a few things. There have been several negative VPA flags, and Wednesday after the market there was a low volume test. You can see the volume was lower and it closed near its high. Consequently, the test of VPA flag was generated, but that was a test and it was not confirmed, and you can see what happened yesterday. Another thing, notice how light the volume is yesterday because of the shortened trading day. A lot of people were away and not trading, but because of this big drop down, notice the 3 and 6 histogram was down here near the bottom. So a lot of selling pressure, and what we've seen on the 6 versus the 18 is we've been seeing a loss of momentum here. It's clearly visible in the histogram. Now the VPOC turned negative yesterday. Now I'm going to change charts. I'm going to go click on this. I'm going to go up to my market charts. I'm going to go to the NASDAQ internals. Use with the NASDAQ. It says we have the same VPA flags here, but we have a lot more information. I have advancing versus declining stocks, advancing versus declining volume, and new highs, new lows, and then the ARMS index. I'm going to bring up more information. I'll hit my alternate I key. It opens this window, which you can also find here. I'm going to scroll down towards the bottom, click on the last day, now scroll down towards the bottom, and here I get the actual numbers. The volume was almost 26% below my normal 90-day moving average volume, so that's something to consider. Advancing stocks only 546, decliners 2725, unchanged 135 on the advancing volume. Here is the number for the advancers and decliners. So about 3 to 1 negative, it looks like. New highs 11, new lows 163. That's reflected down here. So definitely weakness in the market, but the lack of volume because of the lack of trading, we have to take into consideration. It did not hold the support area here. This is kind of a tweezer bottom right here. See the two tweezers, and it broke through this, and consequently that's negative also. What do we have over here? We have short term down, but the long term is up. The medium term is up. And we'll see how this unfolds in the future. Now, if I drop down, I'm sorry, I went to the wrong place. If I drop down to this one, we get a much better feel for the new highs versus the new lows. And once again, alternate eye brings this up. New highs 11, new lows 163. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on market analysis. There will be plenty of that from other people. I'm going to drop down to my next view. I'm sorry, number 2. This includes the ETFs. Now, why do I have this in here? Because I want to see how the major markets are in or amongst the ETFs, and I can see where the money's flowing. The UVXY volatility, and as you can see how that jumped. Or the trust, it's not the true VIX, but natural gas jumped. 20-year treasury bond, flight to safety. Biotech was actually pretty strong yesterday, but it closed near its low. The bearish US dollar was up, and so on. I'm not going to go through all these, but you can understand why I like to look at ETFs in addition to the major markets plus. You can see oil was down, U.S. gasoline was down sharply. Big gaps down. We'll see if that translates into anything at the pump. Okay, so now you've seen a lot of weakness, so I'm going to move this back down. I'm going to get back to all securities. I'll hold my down my alternate key in the space bar. Do that again. You can see that this window pops up and I'm in all securities. But what I want to do now, since we're talking about the market, I want to show you under user smart groups on the, it says intraday major markets smart groups up and down. This works on end of day too. I just want to show you that if I'm looking at all stocks and indexes combined, price up, there were 147 and 25.15 down. Now these are the major market index components. I just put them all together, and I did this so I could update this intraday or at the end of day and just get a quick read. On the 100, only 13 were up and 89 were down. And let's go to the 1500. 65 securities were up and 1,295 were down. There must have been several unchanged. I don't keep track of the unchanged in here, but you can see it was an overwhelmingly negative day. That's all I'm going to say about the market. Here, by the way, here's a weekly chart. Well, this is oil right here. It's not the NASDAQ, but let me just go back to the NASDAQ. The symbol's $NASX. I went back there. I just wanted to show you what the weekly chart looks like. It's still strong with the weekly, but we are getting a Vpa flag to the downside. Now, what I want to show you is something that I put in this morning, and there is a lot of interest in swing trading. So I had some swing trading scans in here. I think this is a much more powerful way to do it. I'm using Swing Trader, Undercut, and Rally, my new scans that I put together during the workshop. And Undercut and Rally, setup, fan up, end of day. The 3 is below the 6. These are setting up. And then this is a crossover. And then these are the intraday versions. Now this is something else that I decided to put in this morning. The 3, 6, and 18 system does not require a fan up, but it requires that the stocks be above the 18, and then the 3 and the 6 crossovers can work their magic. So let's go to a different chart here. I'm just going to go to my number 1 expansion contraction chart. Well, actually, let me go down to number 1A with all of the moving averages first, then go back to this group. So if I'm looking for undercut and rally stocks with a fan up end of day, but the 3 is below the 6, I sort on this. Here's a trust. You can see the fan is still up, even though this came down sharply. The 200 is here, the 100 here, is the 50 is here, and the 18 is above all of them. So the fan theoretically is still intact. Not the kind of stock I really would like to look at. Now this one's a little bit better here. AeroCap Holdings, the fan is still in place. It dropped down. It has a doji, found support at the 200-day moving average. So it's maybe setting up. Here's another one, fan up, okay? Now, the next one, these are stocks that crossed over the 3, crossed over the 6. If you look at my warehouse view here, this tells you the days since the 3 crossed the 6. It's a 2-day window. This pharmaceutical stock crossed today. The 3 crossed the 6. You can see down here that put an arrow on here, that the 3 crossed over the 6, which happened right here after a sharp pullback. Now, yesterday this one would have shown up in the prior screen because the 3 was below the 6, but the fan was intact. So it would have shown up here, and it would have shown up here, and it would have shown up here too, because that's a bullish candle. This is a morning star formation. This also has 2 efforts to rise, very powerful signals, and another signal here, which is strength coming back into it. So combination of VPA and flags and the fan. Good setup here. You just have to look for these every day. There's the crossover. The 6 is below the 18. This would not have shown up on the 3618 scan because it was below the 18. Remember, that's a requirement of the 18. So let me take a look at the 3618. These are pullbacks above the 18. Signet Jewelry. I'll just go back up to my other chart since I don't need the complete fan. So it's above the 18. You can see that, but the 3 is below the 6. So this is a pullback and setting up. Let's look at the next one, QDL. Above the 18. The 3 has not gone above the 6. If you look down here, you'll see that. But this was a sharp move up. Dangerous play, of course, with this long-legged doji. Here's one that's setting up nicely. 3 VPA flags, low volume test confirmation. This confirms return of strength. Pull back on the sharp pullback yesterday, but you can see buyers stepped into it. Let's look at one more here. Now, pharmacy. See if I can find one that looks a little better. Okay, Ball Corporation. above the 18. The 3 has not crossed over yet, but it's setting up. These are setups. Now let's go down to the crossover. 3-6-18 system crossover. When did it cross over? 2 days ago. Crossover, this would have been on Wednesday when it crossed over, and it followed through yesterday. Okay, when did this one cross over? Yesterday. It's a 0. So here's your 3-6. This is one I looked at earlier. You already know about that one. Let's go down to the next one. So this is a stock that is in a downtrend. Now, just by using the 3, 6, and 18 rather than requiring the fan, you can see that these stocks will appear. That's a very cheap stock. Let's find a moderately priced stock, Beyond Air. And here's a pullback. Here's a bullish flag. This would have appeared in the setup scan. And here is the crossover. And when did that happen? It happened on this day, 2 days ago, with an effort to rise. And here's a follow through. Anyway, I just put these in. I want you to experiment with them, see what you think. And I think they're going to provide some really good setups and execution or trades with the 3 crossing the 6 on the using the UNR scans, which I created for the or during the workshop. I'll just show you a filter, show you these are a little complicated. And if any of these VPA flags occur, which are bullish, or if any of these bullish candles appear, they will give us a signal. So it's not either or, it's if any of them appear. Well, I'm sorry, it is either or. If either a candle or the VPA flags appear, we're going to get a signal. And this is a nice setup, or screen, I should say. Now, another thing I'm going to be working more and more on, rather than just doing all securities, I think an excellent way to do this is to set up some smart group scans and then apply these views to the scans. What I did is this morning I put a couple of fundamental scans in here. EPS and revenue growth with rising earnings estimates, current quarter. If you're looking for stocks that have decent fundamentals, I'll just transfer this down here. Where am I? Right here. This is what? This is a 3-6 crossover. John Deere's in here. 3-6 crossover. Here's a 3-6 crossover on a marine shipping company. So, why is it appearing? Well, look at this earnings growth right here. Same thing on Deere. Look at the earnings growth. So these are fundamentally strong stocks which are passing through a screen. Let's look at the setup on this. There's only one Signet Jewelers setting up. It's above the 18 now. It's a possible trade, and it's in here because of the strong earnings growth. Let's go up here to these. These are setups, and it's still in the same group. So going forward, what I'm going to be doing is looking at these groups over here, or creating new smart user groups with certain characteristics, and then screen on those. So we get not only technicals, but we also will also be screening stocks that have other characteristics like strong fundamentals. So this is something new I just put in. Remember to delete your warehouse views and your chart views and install this, and you're going to have everything that I showed.